What's up guys, Nathan here. Welcome to the Goldfish and Companion video for my Bartolomé del Presidio Vampire themed Aristocrats sacrifice deck. I actually made a whole commander deck tech. You can check that out first, and then once you watch that video, come back to this video. This is going to be the companion video where we'll take the deck through its paces a couple of times, assuming low interaction in the first game, high interaction in the second game. As always, my name is Nathan. You're watching a Solid Productions YouTube video. If you want to support me, leave a like on the video and subscribe to see more. Let's hop into the playtester here. We are looking for at least 3 lands, and it looks like we are pretty mana flooded in this particular hand, drawing 6 lands there. We are running 37 lands, so this is just sort of an anomaly. Let's go ahead and mulligan this. Okay, so now we have a Godless Shrine, we have 3 lands, and we do have 1 source of white that I'm seeing. We've got a nice burn piece here with Zulaport Cutthroat. We got a nice piece of fodder. We've got a cantrip to help us draw into that 4th land, and then we've got an amplifier. So this is a perfect hand along with a free sack outlet in case Bart does get removed. So let's go ahead and keep this hand here. We're going to start turn 1, and the idea would be to burn our opponents for enough damage by about turn 9 or turn 10 is roughly when this deck aims to end the game. So let's go ahead and play a swamp for turn 1. We don't have any turn 1 plays. We'll go next. Bastion of Remembrance is a great burn piece here. We're going to keep and organize this actually by mana cost. So let's move the 2 costs to the front. Let's go ahead and play the Godless Shrine, which for some reason I thought was an Orzhov Basilica. That will enter untapped, and then let's go ahead and play out our Dust Legion Zealot so we can continue to draw some cards here. ETB, draw a card, and you lose 1 life, so we'll go ahead and draw a card, and then we go next turn. Kaya's Guile is going to be a removal piece. Let's play out this here, Cavern of Souls, I do believe, and then for 3 mana, we can cast Will of the Mardu. If our opponents had a lot of creatures, this would be really enticing, so we can get a large number of creatures on board right away. We do have 2 burn pieces here, and then an Oathsworn Vampire. We don't really quite want to give away our burn pieces quite yet and make that public knowledge, so let's go ahead and play the Oathsworn Vampire, even though it is a little bit off curve here. It enters the battlefield tapped, and you may cast it from your graveyard if you gained life this turn, and that's going to be awesome. We can hold up Dust Legion Zealot as an early game blocker. Let's go next turn. We will play the Witch Enchanter on its backside, perhaps even the Phyrexian Tower, actually, now I'm thinking about it, in case we need to sack a creature for that extra mana. So let's think about if we did want to sack, we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could play Bart plus a Bastion of Remembrance, which I think is actually a decent play here. So let's go. So we tap the Phyrexian Tower for 2 mana and sack the Oathsworn Vampire, and then we'll also tap a swamp to play out the Bastion of Remembrance. When this ETBs, create a 1/1 human soldier creature token, which we will do right now. And then whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So then we will cast an uncounterable Bart from the command zone there. And right here with Bastion of Remembrance, we have the life gain engine to get our Oathsworn Vampire back from the graveyard there. So then let's go next turn, and we will drop this Witch Enchanter on the back side. I believe I have to go card actions, flip card, and we'll play that untapped. So now if we sacrifice something again, we have access to 6 mana. So here I would maybe consider probably a Will of the Mardu or a Teysa Karlov with a Zulaport Cutthroat. Actually, that seems really good. Okay, so if let's sequence this correctly here. If we go, we don't want the Teysa to be countered, so we'll save our Cavern of Souls for that. If we go Swamp, Godless Shrine for a Zulaport Cutthroat, then we can also play out our Teysa Karlov by then sacrificing a creature. Now, we won't get the trigger, the double triggered, but we will get the Bastion of Remembrance trigger and the Zulaport Cutthroat trigger to burn our opponents for 2, and we will gain 2. And then we can also at will sack another 1, 2, 3 creatures here if we need to deal an extra 3 damage, but we're still in a set of phase, so we're not going to do that. Okay, then we also have, so we're continuing to be on 6 mana here. We can always play our Oathsworn Vampire from the graveyard for 2, so I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. We have another burn payoff here. I would probably wait to cast Sir Conrad until we have more fodder on board just as a backup. But here I think the play would probably be to go Will of the Mardu, remove a thing, and then create a bunch of warrior tokens to sacrifice. So let's say that we create 3 warrior tokens. We're going to create a warrior token, and then we're going to create 2 copies of that warrior, and then Will of the Mardu will go to the graveyard. And then for a Phyrexian Tower sacrifice, by the way, we will just get rid of the Dust Legion Zealot, no problem. And then from there, we can also cast, let's see, what did I want to cast off of that for Kaya's Guile. That's right. So if we go Kaya's Guile for each opponent sacrifices a creature and then create a 1/1 spirit, we can refund ourselves the spirit here. So that will go to the graveyard, just keeping the board clear from our opponents. And at this point, we have then dealt a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 damage off of that. And we also have a free sack outlet on board. So right now we are threatening, let's see, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 per creature sacrifice. We're threatening 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and then technically it would be like 22 if we had to get rid of the Zulapur Cutthroat first. So then we would go next turn, and then let's say here's where we would absolutely go off. So we would go probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, maybe keeping up a Godless Shrine there. For High Society Hunter, whenever another non-token creature dies, draw a card, and here is where we'd sacrifice our whole board, Spirit to drain, and then we would go probably, shoot, we actually can't draw that many cards. That is unfortunate. That is unfortunate. But we could drain our warriors, and then we could even get rid of Zulaport if we needed to draw that extra card, and maybe the Teysa if we needed to push a little bit of extra card draw here. But otherwise, I think actually maybe the play instead of High Society Hunter, and then I'm thinking about it, will probably be to drop the Vengeful Blood Witch or the Sir Conrad, and then keep the other one in arrears here, just for some extra, burn around the corner there. So if we were to play out the Sir Conrad for 5, we would be able to sack for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per creature. So then we're threatening some mid-20s damage there, plus play out the Vengeful Blood Witch next turn, and then High Society Hunter to draw cards. And if we went for a couple more turns, we would draw another land, and then a Mass Reanimation spell, so we could sack our whole board and then just reanimate it with Aghadeem's Awakening. Therefore, I believe winning the game by around turn 9 or turn 10. Okay, so let's go new game, and we'll assume that we have to be really careful about when Bart is deployed, otherwise he'll be removed right away. We have a great opener here with lands, 3 lands here. We've got a Fodder Maker with Sanguine Evangelist, an Amplifier with Teysa, card draw with Body Count, and then Ruthless Lawbringer for some removal there. So I think the play pattern is going to be Sanguine before we go Ruthless Lawbringer. Let's go turn 1 here. Legion's Landing, absolutely perfect play. My goodness, this is such a good play. Legion's Landing, ETBs create a 1/1 vampire creature token with lifelink, which we are happy to do. And let's make an actual white vampire with lifelink. Then we will go next turn, and we will probably play out the Marsh Flats for a Surveillant, I'm thinking, because we don't have a 2-drop. So let's go Marsh Flats, crack it, taking 1 for Shadowy Backstreet, which will go to the battlefield tapped, and we will Surveil 1 here. Martyr of Dust we definitely want to keep on top, because we have, if we look here, we have enough lands to really get going, and we want that extra fodder piece. We'll keep that on top. Then we will go, let's see, so we don't have a 1-drop here. We're going to have to pass through turn 2, and then turn 3. We'll play out this Isolated Chapel, which will enter untapped. Now at this point, we would take a look at what's on board, and we could get rid of something with Ruthless Lawbringer, but if there wasn't a juicy target to remove, I'd probably play out the Sanguine Evangelist here, because we are playing on curve, so we can create a rat token, and that's going to be a 1/1 that will enter the battlefield for some reason. Oh, it's a bat token. Interesting. Okay, so then we'll go next turn. Okay, so Malakir Rebirth is going to be a land. Fetid Heath, I think we'll just play out. So now we have access to 4 mana. So what we could do is go, let's see here, Ruthless, or we could go Martyr of Dusk into Bart, and then we have a nice setup for next turn. What we're missing right now is the burn package. So what I actually think we should do is attack with our little dudes here. We aren't going to get a death payoff, but the reason is because we want to transform the Legion's Landing. This has Battle Cry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So let's send in the team. Now, Sanguine Evangelist will probably die. The bat will probably survive, and the vampire will probably die. So let's assume that the vampire dies, and then Sanguine Evangelist dies. But now we can actually transform the Legion's Landing. So let's go card actions, flip card into a land here. We'll keep that sort of over here. And then we get a death trigger from the Sanguine Evangelist to make another battle bat tokens. So we will make a bat there. And with 5 mana to go, because this does enter untapped, I believe. We have 1, 2, 5. So I think we go Martyr of Dusk into Ruthless Lawbringer is what I'm thinking. Because we don't have, let's see, do we have a reanimation spell we want to use? I don't think so. So Ruthless Lawbringer, we could just sack the tapped bat because it's useless anyway, destroy target non-land permanent, and then we are still set up here for next turn. So let's see, we probably want to play out our Malakir Rebirth. Oh, do we want to play it as a land? If we did, we'd be on 5. We could go Captivating Vampire into Bart. Or we could get some sort of, we don't have a sack outlet, but we could get a death trigger off of Malakir Rebirth to create another vampire. I'm almost thinking Malakir Rebirth might be good in this situation because we can then play out our body count as well. Because if we go Bart into Malakir Rebirth after a sacrifice, then we can also play body count to draw for probably around 3 cards. So I think we'll do that. So Plains Black, we'll play out or let's go Fetid Heath, I guess, to create that white black. We'll play out our Bart, and then we are going to, let's see, what's most mana efficient here? I think we would have to do we want the fodder? I think we actually want to play the Malakir Rebirth as a land. So let's flip this card. Oh, but we do need the vampire count. That's right. So let's go. We're going to cast Malakir Rebirth targeting the Martyr of Dusk. We're going to sacrifice the Martyr of Dusk, but it's going to come back. So that will create a 1/1 vampire with lifelink, planning for our eventual Captivating Vampire play here. Malakir Rebirth will go to the graveyard. So that's 1 death, and then we will sacrifice the bat. And then we do have enough to cast body count for 2 to draw 2 cards. I think we want to sack another Martyr of Dusk because we don't care about our vampire count as long as, you know, he's replacing himself with a vampire. So let's do that. Let's sack the Martyr of Dusk. Just going to create another 1/1 vampire. This dies. Bartolomé gets 2 1/1 counters, add counters +1/+1, and then we'll increase that by another 1 here. So that's 3 creatures that have died. So let's tap for a black to play the body count to then draw 3 cards. So that will go to the graveyard. Right now we're dealing with 4 vampires on board, so this is going to be a perfect setup for playing out our Captivating Vampire. Fail the Profane, we will flip and play as a land, and that's going to enter untapped here. So now we have access to 6 mana on turn 6. We can go Captivating Vampire into maybe Meathook Massacre for 1 is what I'm thinking here. I think we gotta play the Captivating Vampire because that's just too juicy to give up to just take control of a creature immediately, but it does put our defenses down. So here's again where I would look at the board state. Let's assume that Bart has since been removed because he's been just a little scary. Let's see. So we could also play March of the Canonized to create 4 tokens. Our devotion right now is only 4, so we'd be quite a bit off from the upkeep trigger there. We could also play Roaming Throne, and let's see, I think that would be pretty awkward in terms of curve because we would probably still have Bart. So let's see. I think, okay, so here's what I would say. If there is a juicy target on board for Captivating Vampire to steal, I would go Vampire into March of the Canonized and then immediately take control because we would be able to create 1 vampire with March of the Canonized. Or alternatively, if the board is in such a state where we're giving everything -4/-4 until end of turn, would be really convenient and wipe out a lot of creatures, we would do that as well. So let's go. I think we want to probably stick with the Captivating Vampire as the more conservative choice here. So we'd go March of the Canonized for 1. We would make a vampire token for 1. And then we go Captivating Vampire. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gain control of target creature, becomes a vampire in addition to its other types, which is really nice. So we permanently gain control of that. Let's go next turn, Exotic Orchard. So we're on 7 mana. So here we could go recast probably what we want to do is another setup turn. So maybe we go like Teysa into Meat Hook Massacre, but this is a really telegraphed play because we need to play Bart out next turn. Alternatively, you could probably just go Roaming Throne. What would create actually the most amount of pips here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'd probably want at least Teysa on the battlefield to get our devotion up, and then, I don't know, maybe we play out Meat Hook Massacre for 2 to just get the effect on the battlefield, and then that would put our devotion up to at least 7. To then on our upkeep here, we would then make our vampire token, and then from there we could very easily play up Bart for 4 plus a Teysa Orzhov Scion, to then sacrifice, you know, well, first we would take control of another thing here with Captivating Vampire, but then we would be able to sacrifice the Vampire Demon to create another 1/1 white spiritual creature token with flying, drain everybody for 2, and then, you know, we could sacrifice the Ruthless Lawbringer, do the exact same thing, make a spirit, drain everybody for 2, and so on and so forth. As you can see, these are kind of how the Aristocrats decks function. We could, you know, keep sacking things on board. Ultimately, we could sack our whole board right now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see, so 8 times 2 would be 16. 17 damage, I believe, with the Meat Hook Massacre, assuming that doesn't get removed. And then even next turn, we could create another token there. So with Roaming Throne on the battlefield, we would double all of our vampire triggers, although right now we don't actually have many triggers to double. That is noted, that Roaming Throne is actually kind of useless in this particular hand, but we are missing our card draw here. But if we drew an Urza Saga, we could play that, and then eventually on Chapter 3, search up that Skull Clamp. And let's just dig a couple of cards deep here just to see what we got lying around the corner. Sir Conrad, a great backup burn spell here, but again, we wouldn't really have much fuel for him. Saw in Half, we could maybe make a copy of, let's see, a Captivating Vampire. If we still had that, that would be actually pretty sick. Oh my gosh. And then by now we'd have our Skull Clamp online, so we could start drawing more cards. Another backup burn spell with Crew Celebrant, and then another land. So you guys can kind of see how this deck functions, and hopefully this was entertaining for you, and gives you a good demonstration of how the deck operates. So that is my Bartolomé del Presidio Vampire Aristocrats decks. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and hopefully we see you all in the next one.